Let's start off by drawing a fun little shape, something that is easy to do. A little character. Let's do a popsicle, since those are always really easy to draw, and I'll be able to illustrate what I want to do with this little guy pretty easily. We can do his smile a little later. I think it'll be easier. We're going to color it in. A popsicle, like a fun little watermelon effect on this little guy. So a little bit lighter on top. It's always a little bit more interesting when you use more than one color, because I find that it really adds depth to your drawing. Do that. I'm going to pass over after with my lighter color just to make sure that we're properly blended in. I'm going to keep a little distance between the green and the red. And what I will go ahead and do here, instead of blending it all the way in, I'm going to take my clear and I'm going to pass in between both colors so that they sort of naturally fade into each other. And it's okay if there's that white line, because in the junction between a watermelon, between the red and the green, there's always that little white line anyways. Now this is the part where I can add my watermelon seeds. Maybe I should have waited till it dried a bit more though. We'll see. We're doing okay. Maybe add just another one here. This guy seems to be dry enough to do our little mouth. Some other shades of green, little dots, just to add some fun texture. Now, depending on where we've decided our light source is, so let's say that in this case we're going to put our light source coming from here, okay, so all of our highlights are going to be on this side. Then where I would have my shadow, I'm going to put a higher density of these dots so that it's going to create that shadowing, the shading. Instead of creating just that straight line, I'm doing it with these little dots. And we can go ahead and do the same thing in our reds. The 120 marker set that I got at Michael's does not match the colors that they have listed out on that little paper that they give you with the swatches. So I was like, oh, I'm going to buy the 48 midtones to complete my 120 set that I got at Michael's. And it ended up not making sense at all. Just going to use our clear and let that color spread into our clear. So I have this stuff that's called drawing gum, and I'm going to create these areas where I don't want any paint to go later on. So right here, I'm creating this you know, in those popsicles, when you buy a popsicle, there's always like those little parts that are carved out. This is the part that I am trying to imitate. So the principle of drawing gum is that basically you're adding sort of like a rubber to your drawing, and where the rubber is, you're not going to get any paint going there. It usually dries pretty quick, so you can just touch it and see if it's dry. You have to wait till it's completely dry before you apply your paint. Now what I want to do is I want to do a glaze. I am putting white paint on my drawing, but I'm still seeing the marker underneath. So this is the same technique you would be using if you were making, like, let's say a ghost or anything that you wanted to be see-through. This is just water that I'm adding to my acrylic, because if I let it completely white, it would be way too opaque and you wouldn't see anything underneath. So I'm actually going to have two variations of this, because I need some that's a little bit thicker and I need some that is a lot more liquid if I want to achieve different effects. I'm going to go over I feel like maybe that's a tiny bit too white. I could have done this a little lighter, actually. A little less opaque. Alright. So now I have that, the white. I'm going to add a couple of areas where it's even wider to create that depth and the real highlights. I'm not using the best brush either, to tell you the truth. Using the back of my brush because I felt like my paintbrush was just way too big for what I was trying to achieve on here. Now, we have to wait till this completely dries. Shouldn't take too long. Okay, now that this little guy is dry, we are going to, just with our finger, rub off that blue paint that we put earlier. See the texture of this? It's like a gum. So it protected your page, and then it comes off. It's like rubber glue in a way, but it doesn't stick to your page. If you had done this with rubber glue, then you would have completely destroyed your page afterwards, because it would not want to come off. So now you see the area where I had that is staying dark, and this part is white. I feel like we should just add a couple more dots here to really show that contrast. And now, to completely complete the look, I got a new pack of gel pens.